So, Mark, did you see those Grateful Dead fans outside of the concert at the Sphere, Dead and Company performing, and they're just wandering around having a good time? Sort of reminds me of our night at the Sand Dollar.
Yeah, nothing tops that night and the dancing. I feel like the world would be a better place if everybody was just Grateful Dead fans, or acted like them at least.
That one dude walking by the camera, you could just see his face. He's totally gone, like just completely not there in his own little world. It's exactly what you would expect from Dead and Company.
I wonder if they ever let the guy back that smoked inside and then got banned, but didn't get banned, and nobody knows what the heck's going on.
Let him back in. Free the man. Come on. He deserves to go back and light one up. So it's August, Mark, and that means that we're going to start talking about F1 a lot more as the race is just a few months away. And Vital Vegas had an interesting rumor saying that Bellagio isn't doing the grandstands this year. I think that they've sold tickets for it, so maybe not this year, but they're considering getting rid of it. And at this point, I would be very sad if they did that, only because we lost those big, beautiful 30-year-old trees for these grandstands, so they might as well build them. But the city is very concerned about all of the interruptions to flow, and the Bellagio grandstands messed up traffic really badly.
Yeah, I think those were the worst. And of course, the most iconic thing in Vegas probably, and you have these bleachers, essentially, grandstands blocking it and everything. And I don't know that it matters much for the television aspect of things. Like, they still do the zoom out, you still see the fountains and everything. But it is cool for people visiting to be able to see that in the backdrop and not have it blocked by grandstands. I'm skeptical because, as we've seen with MGM, that anything that can make money, they're going to do. So I don't know why they would give up all this money unless F1 really wants this to happen, or maybe the city's giving them pressure and they're getting a kickback from F1 or something like that. I just don't see them walking away for free.
Totally agree. Unless this was a complete disaster, which we haven't heard, I'm a little skeptical about this. It's a tale as old as time, Mark, and that is a housekeeper going into your room and stealing a bunch of stuff. It really isn't, but we've had a couple stories like that in Las Vegas over the last couple years. And another one just sort of surfaced. This happened in June, and it was a housekeeper at Venetian, and she allegedly went into rooms one time when she was working. The big theft allegedly came when she went on an off day and she got a key and she went to a bunch of rooms. Like, how are you not going to be caught? Like, how they can see your card was used to open the rooms and surveillance, and she didn't go to Mexico or to some foreign country to get away with it. So how did she think she wasn't going to get arrested?
Yeah, I love that we used allegedly like 4 times. So our butts are covered there. But it seems pretty shut and closed case, at least from the reporting. But yeah, I don't know. Like, if you go into a room and it has $110,000 or whatever, and you take 1,500, maybe you get away with it. Maybe the person's like, oh, I probably miscounted, or doesn't even pay that close of attention to it. You got a chance. But when you get greedy, like, nobody's going to go up there and be like, oh, I definitely thought I brought all this money. So I don't know what the thinking is there. And then you don't skip town. Like, you just are kind of around wearing like a bracelet that you stole from somebody. It's not the smartest thing. I guess that's why they're criminals, or at least they get caught as criminals. I don't know. But why are people bringing $100,000 and putting it in their room? This seems like it happens way too often with ladies of the night and all that stuff that we've talked about. People losing watches and money and everything. Like, haven't you learned? Go to Terry Benedict and ask him put it in the vault.
You mentioned the best part of the story is that she was wearing one of the bracelets that was taken from one of the rooms when she was arrested, which is just nuts. And you're right. Who knows with somebody like this, when, you know, this is a big deal, but how many years has she been sort of taking a couple hundred here or there? Maybe some, maybe not. I don't know. But not the smartest crime when everything is tracked back to your key card going into a room. It doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to solve that case.
But this is why we need, cameras in the hallways. We've talked about this with break-ins. They don't want to do it because maybe liability and stuff like that. But if you had cameras in all these hallways, a lot of this stuff would be caught or stopped right away. Somebody paying attention to it. It doesn't seem like it's rocket science that we need more protections. People are getting rooms broken into, all kinds of stuff. And there's nothing. They stop at the elevator.
On to Boyd Gaming. We're getting another new casino, Mark. This is exciting. We sort of talked about rumors of this a few weeks ago at Cadence and whether Joker's Wild would close or not. And now Boyd Gaming has confirmed they're building a new casino. Essentially, they're going to build it in the parking lot of Joker's Wild, and then they will demolish Joker's Wild when the new casino is open. It's not huge. It's 50,000 square feet. What's really interesting is Boyd hasn't built a new property in quite a long time. According to the Review Journal, the last newly built casino that Boyd built themselves and operates is Sam's Town from 1979. They were building Echelon, which is Resorts World on the Strip. They did also buy the South Point under construction as it was the South Coast, and then they sold it later to Michael Gaughan. So as of what they own now that they built themselves, Sam's Town is the oldest one. So they're not about building new casinos all around town, but here you go. And this is a growing area a little bit of excitement, but 50,000 square feet seems tiny.
Yeah, it's definitely on the smaller side. And I will say the sign on the side of the building is drawing me in. It says cold beer, hot slots. It takes up like a huge chunk of the wall, but it's like desolate and empty. So maybe that doesn't draw the people in the photo, but I thought that was pretty funny.
Out of all the dive casinos, I don't know if Joker's Wild is a dive casino on Boulder Highway. This is actually a nicer one, and they can expand it. I know they've talked about possibly doing a hotel in the future and a bigger casino. I imagine the expansion space would be where Joker's Wild is now. Good stuff over there for Boyd. I wonder, anybody out there, let me know. I think Joker's Wild is about the same size, about 50. That would be my guess, but I don't know the exact square footage. But it seems like they're just demolishing the old one, building something comparable as a new casino. But hey, it gives us something to look forward to. Another thing to look forward to, Mark, is winning a $1.2 million jackpot. It has to be in our future, right? We have to at some point win a jackpot like that. We've talked about a lot of these jackpots on the last few shows and tipping and everything, but another jackpot hit this week, which was really interesting. Alan Kessler, who's a very famous poker player, hit a $1.2 million jackpot on a Buffalo slot machine. He was doing buy a bonus, $125 per buy-in, which is interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen anything big hit on a buy a bonus like this, but he also shared like what his payment options are, because we know they treat it like a lottery. So you either get a reduced lump sum or you get an annuity. In this case, on a little over 1.2 million, he would have $60,505 annually or a lump sum of $805,120. So lump sum seems pretty good to me, but I guess, taxes, accountant, yeah, you should figure out your personal situation. But I thought the lump sum was higher than I would have expected.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't go to Twitter and expect good, solid advice there. So I'm sure it was just a tweet to get engagement more so than looking for actual advice. You definitely want to consult your tax professional when doing something like this, because I think, especially him being a professional gambler, I'm sure it's a little bit different. Like, do you have losses to write off this year? Or do you plan on having losses every year that you want to write off gambling? So maybe the annuity makes a little bit more sense long term. I think for the majority of people, the lump sum is going to be the way to go. But somebody else made a good point in the comments, like, what if you know yourself and you get this after taxes, this $500,000 or 600K, whatever it be, and you're going to blow it or something. Maybe taking $60,000 a year for 20 years, safeguards you against being completely broke. I don't know. So some of that plays a role too. Maybe not the best financial decision, but the best financial decision for you. So it's always interesting to play those things, but I'd take the lump sum for sure.
I think I would too. It's interesting. I think he played for 12 hours on that slot machine buying bonuses,
Which they
which is
lose.
a little like you talk about an attention span, but I guess he plays poker. He's used to these long games. And I love that he shared that information. We don't see that specific information publicly very often. So it was cool that he did that.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool if other people shared similar things, or when we see these bonuses hit. A lot of times it's the casinos or something like that, or just people on Twitter that are big influencers in Vegas sharing it. So you don't get like the story behind it or the breakdown or anything. So it's always interesting to get a little bit more of that detail.
As a reminder, we have our Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to our weekly after show. Every single Friday, we come out with a new show. Lots of laughs. Going a little deeper, too, sometimes it's a lot of fun. Patreon.com/MTM Vegas. And thanks to everybody who supports us over there. Okay, I've been looking forward to talking about this next one for a while. And this is Las Vegas landmarks. Casino.org surveyed 5,000 people, and they showed them pictures of different landmarks around the world, including the versions in Las Vegas, and determined how many people couldn't figure out what the real one was versus the fake one. Now, they didn't include all the pictures they used in their article, but they did some of them. Like, for example, the Eiffel Tower. Mark, they showed the picture of the Eiffel Tower. It has Paris's pool. You could see the top of Bellagio, and 54% of people thought the Eiffel Tower in Las Vegas was the real thing.
Yeah, I think if you zoomed it out a weird way, or did it like shooting up at it into the sky and there was no backdrop or anything, I could definitely see people picking it type of thing, even though like the life size of it, is different and all that stuff. But at that point, when you're seeing people swim in a pool, I'm like, I don't remember any pictures of the Eiffel Tower with a pool around it. So I don't know how people got confused on that.
Another one, the Trevi fountains, 40% thought the ones at Caesar's Palace were the real thing. Again, there's a big neon sign on the top of it. Doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
Now with the Trevi fountain one, that was one I originally, before I saw like the picture they used, I'm like, okay, I could see that one getting, confused, because if they zoomed in at just like the fountain area in the backdrop and didn't have the full thing in there, it does look very similar. Once you zoom out a bit, you can tell the landscape around it, the the neon sign above it, all that stuff, the glass and everything. But they didn't do this and cheat people on leaving the obvious. And that's what something I was worried about, like going in. I'm like, okay, how are they playing this? Are they doing it tricky, or are they just like, here's a picture, take a look?
All right, this next one is scary. 7% of people thought a picture of the Grand Canal Shoppes at the Venetian was the Grand Canal in Venice. Can we, I love everybody, and I don't like to call people names, but come on.
It's not like just the people on the gondolas, like it's like the mall and the ceiling and indoors. I don't know.
What a great idea, casino.org. I love it. They do these surveys from time to time, and this was a fun one. So thanks for sharing, and thanks for including some of the photographs so we could kind of see what the people saw.
We're not going to talk about the Statue of Liberty with a roller coaster behind it.
Hey, it just gets more crazy as people read it. Vegas Visual said on Twitter in response to this, he reminded everybody that the United States Postal Service once put out a commemorative postage stamp with the Statue of Liberty with a picture of the Vegas version instead of the regular one. 10 million or something of them went out before it was discovered. And yeah, nuts. So I guess people make these mistakes all the time.
Yeah, you hold on to those stamps. Maybe in like 40 years, they'll be worth something.
Another Vital Vegas sort of rumor here. So we're heavy on Vital Vegas rumors today, but he talked about the Tuscany promotion, and we covered that on a previous show, $150 in free slot play. They changed it later to require a minimum number of points. And he basically had said on Twitter that he has now deleted that the executives weren't happy. They lost a lot of money on this promotion. It didn't attract the gamblers that they wanted. He now removed that, so we don't really know. But I shared on the after show, but I don't know if I ever shared here about my experience with it. But I saw plenty of people who were not gamblers in there waiting in line, long lines. People, the word had sort of spread on the street about this promotion, and there were people walking in, putting $1 into a machine, and then using the free play and cashing out that way. So yeah, I could totally see this as being true.
I guess it's how you look at it. Like if you look at it just of what they lost off of the people doing the just the free bet and walking out and stuff, but you don't consider all the name recognition they got, all the coverage they've got. Like I'm sure a lot of people that watch this show or go to Vegas have never heard of Tuscany, and now they know about it. Maybe it interests them, or some people went in there and come back later. So I think long term, like they say, no press is bad press. They got a lot of coverage out of this, all over Twitter, all over YouTube, on websites, stuff like that. So they got their name out there, and I think if you look at how much you would have to buy in ads to get that type of recognition out there, is it less than what you spent on this bringing gamblers in? I would assume so.
Yeah, I think it's a lesson learned for them. It was an interesting promotion, very generous, maybe too generous, as evidenced by what I saw there. But yeah, Tuscany, I still like it. I think it's a cool property. Very nice, much nicer than I have expected over the years. The hotel is even nicer than I thought. Casino's not big, but I like it. So it got me, I had talked about going to the Jew-Man group a few months ago. Then this brought me back there. So it feels like it's more in my ecosystem now. So I think that's a good thing for them. So let's move on and close casinos. We talk about a new casino coming to Henderson, and now we got to look inside of Mirage. Thanks to James for sending Mark these pictures. And we got some looks inside. They haven't done much other than remove the slot machines.
Yeah, and I don't know that they're going to do much, but that seems like a quick time frame to get all those slot machines out. I know a lot of them were turned off before they closed down, but to get them all moved out that quickly, what has it been, like a week? I was a little bit surprised. I wonder do you think they sold them? Do you think they're storing them? What do you think they're doing with all these?
I'm sure some of the older ones went to older casinos. This happens a lot. And then a lot of them are leased, so they go back as well. So, slot machines are moved all the time. It's really sort of a miraculous thing if you've ever seen them move slot machines on a floor. They do a great job. It's fairly easy to do it. So yeah, that was a lot. And you're right, it's probably going to sit there for a while, right? We have 3 years before it reopens. I know the priority is the volcano and getting the guitar tower under construction. A lot of these areas aren't going to be demolished. They're just going to be redone. So I could see construction not starting for a while on the inside of the old Mirage.
Let's just say it again. Steve Wynn built the Mirage in like 2 years. It's going to take 3 years to just put in some new carpet and paint some walls. I know it's more than that, but still.
Well, it took MGM 3 years to get MGM Rewards integrated with Cosmo. That happened this week. You did, and I saw it and I took it. So MGM Rewards and Cosmo, is this a good thing, a bad thing? Identity is officially dead, and MGM Rewards is here for Cosmo. On Twitter or X, I saw a ton of people sharing new MGM comps that they got once they sort of merged in their Cosmo play. Check my wife's account, absolutely nothing. So she's still not in the love there, but doesn't play very often. But we did book a 3-night stay, the comps that we had before they switched over. So I do have a 3-night stay at Cosmo for free coming up later this year. If you were a Cosmo player, your identity points transferred over at 2-to-1 rate. So everything combined, you should be closer to status. We've heard from people who are very close to MGM status and excited. We've heard from a lot of MGM people who are excited to get comps at Cosmo now. So it's a good thing for some people and bad for others, but it's finally here and it needed to come because when did they buy Cosmo? I forget. It's two plus years ago.
It's been a long time. So it's been crazy. You'd think that this wouldn't be that big of a deal. They've done it before, but I guess it was this time around. So it's good to see for anybody that's an MGM loyalist. You get another casino to book at. It sounds like it's not quite into the system for getting comps and all that stuff. So hopefully that's soon. But yeah, if you're a Cosmo player, like we've said before, you probably don't love this. You probably wanted to stay away from MGM. If you were both, I think, hey, getting them all in one place may be a little bit better, even though Cosmo's ecosystem was probably better for you as a gambler, but it's easier to have it all in one place. And maybe you get a boon this first year with everything transferring over and you can get higher MGM status than you would have gotten in years past. I don't know if it gets you as much as you would have gotten at Cosmo, but there's some pluses and minuses for sure.
I think the reason we're seeing so many people with comp offers and stuff is if you played at both places, they're combining it in. So now all of a sudden you're getting a higher level of play because everything is combined together on their back end with their algorithm. And we have seen some crazy offers on X. I think Champchaw shared that he had $1,400 in property credit or something at Excalibur and Luxor, which he said, how can you spend that money there? But yeah, I've been jealous. I've seen so many good offers, but there have been a lot of people like me who went on to say that they're not part of the party.
Yeah, I never really did much at Cosmo gambling wise, so it didn't really change anything for me. I was already seeing pretty good offers from MGM compared to what I normally saw. So maybe it's just like the offers are up at MGM overall, and then this just like send it to the stratosphere. But the cool thing is they let you use those food, at least they let you use the food comps pretty much anywhere, just build back to your room. So you can use it at other properties. So you don't have to eat at the food court in Luxor, luckily. Although the Mexican restaurant, hey, it's fun.
Diablo's Cantina is fun. You can spin the wheel.
When is your birthday, Sean? When is your birthday?
It's funny that we've been doing this show for so many years. How many times have we talked about Cosmo and MGM Rewards? You know, they didn't announce dates. When is the date going to be? Then they announce a date. Then the cyber attack. Then it gets postponed. Then this. And then finally today. So here we go. It's good. It's fine. It's fun when we talk about something for years and it finally happens. I don't know. It feels good for me.
Yeah, I'm glad to have it all. I can't wait till we're done with talking with F1. So maybe in like 10 years, maybe never. Who knows? But yeah, it seems like it just kind of like came in. Like there was no big hoopla about it. They're just like, oh, by the way, your stuff's all done. We finally got to it, which is kind of crazy with the build up. But maybe people were just over the whole situation by now.
Well, as always, Mark, we love covering Vegas, and we hope you guys enjoyed the show. Let us know in the comments what you think about anything. We talked about the new casino coming to Henderson, Tuscany, that free play promotion. Was that crazy? The survey, oh my God, the survey. I just lost a lot of hope in humanity with that one. Of course, Inside Mirage and Cosmo MGM. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and we'll be back in a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
We used to do those things on the street where they would ask people very obvious questions and they would get them wrong. Was that like Jay Leno? That's exactly what this reminds me of. Pass, pass, give. Or puff, puff, pass. Puff, puff, give? Is that what it is? Puff, puff, give? I don't remember.
I'll just keep going. I'll just keep throwing it at the end. Just puff, puff, pass. Puff, puff, pass.